If you're like me and you spend a good deal of time following the games industry, then you know how publishers have tried jumping on the live service bandwagon and failing epically with abysmal sales and low player interest. But along with these failures, you've also heard about the handful of success stories that do the live service model justice. One of these correct live services is Path of Exile, a dungeon crawler ARPG from Grinding Gear Games. Now, I didn't know too much of what to expect other than years worth of content to try and play through, and after giving it a good deal of time, can I say it was worth it? To put it simply, yes it was. Now, before moving on, I want to make one thing clear for any senior Path of Exile players that stumble onto this review. This review is based exclusively on my perspective as a new player jumping in and my time with the story content. I won't be touching on things like the PvP or the endgame content. That was stuff that I didn't want to focus on or wasn't able to reach in time. This review is for people who haven't played the game yet, and now that that's out of the way, let's actually talk about the game itself. Path of Exile sees us as a newly banished person sent to die on the cursed continent of Rayclast, home to the ruins of a fallen empire and countless horrors. And that's it. There is more to the story, but that's pretty much what it is at the core and all that I can really recall, which is a major problem when it's beyond forgettable, considering that story really wasn't the focus. Now, dungeon crawlers, I do know that they're not a genre with a great narrative focus, but compare this to others in the genre, like Grim Dawn, Diablo, or even Torchlight. You can still recall elements of their narratives despite the deficit, and some have even become iconic for their fan bases. With Path of Exile, though, I cannot recall any significant plot points that didn't happen either till the very end or in the third act, and nor have any of the characters really stuck with me. I can remember some objectives, like clearing a path from the coast to the inland jungle, but the reason why? No clue. It takes a certain level of failure to deliver nothing worth remembering, even when you aren't even focusing on the story. But at least the meat and potatoes of the experience is on a whole other level. Path of Exile does a lot of unique things with skill and character progression. For one, they both are and are not character classes. You pick an exile with a different reason for being banished, but rather than locking you into a skill set, all characters share the same passive skill tree. Each character starts on a different spot, specializing in either strength, dexterity, or intelligence, and you're free to progress them in any direction you want, gearing them towards certain weapon or armor types and passive perks for an extra edge. Skills themselves, on the other hand, are handled through a modular gem system, where you slot two types into slots in your equipment: active, which lets you do things like throw a fireball or do a heavy strike, and support gems, which add modifiers to the active gems so long as their slots are linked. This gives the player a great deal of freedom with how they handle their character, letting you make the type you want to fit your playstyle and almost freely modify them when you hit a wall, something other dungeon crawlers just don't tend to allow. But of course, the core of the combat surrounding this is an addictive mess of clicking and looting, but once the rush of dopamine calms down, playing through the content can feel less like a leisurely activity and more like work. A feeling I had during my longer play sessions that thankfully reset every time I started the game up. Now, it should be noted that this is a free-to-play game, and it looks like whatever money Grinding Gears have been raking in from the microtransactions hasn't been put toward the servers. They are stable, and I never experienced constant disconnects, but I encountered multiple hiccups every time I logged in. Kind of like the game needed to warm up before it could even work. Every time I tried to play the game, I would either get a server error and dump me on the log menu, but work the second time, and even then things were weird. Invisible enemies would spawn in, or they'd spawn in as textureless shadows, and of course, they'd be accompanied by frame rate hiccups or even freezing at times, making enemy encounters more annoying than they should have been, but at least once everything was loaded, the game ran butter smooth. A personal nitpick I have is that I don't see a reason why this game couldn't have had an offline solo mode, especially since the areas are treated as individual instances and only the camps act as the social spots. An offline mode to me would have been no different to playing something like, say, Grim Dawn solo, but if this game must be a live service, at least it's a great one. Path of Exile to this day is still receiving new content in terms of both story and endgame, all given away for free, with the biggest draw being the leagues. weeks. This is Path of Exile's equivalent of seasons, adding a new seasonal activity to grind in for gear alongside the story mode. At the time of this review, the current league was Metamorph, where you harvest organs of slain monsters and combine them into a custom Frankenstein boss, and this is balls of fun, mixing for different boss combinations and loot drops. This also adds a reason to replay the game with a new character, since characters are league locked and a character made in a previous one cannot participate in the current one, that is until the league ends and its activity either gets folded into the standard league or it's just gone forever. I should also point out that the monetization for Path of Exile is fair as well, with in-game shop geared exclusively to flashy cosmetics, which is surprising. Given that Tencent has an 80% stake in the company, it looks like they've done a great job at keeping the avarice of their Chinese overlords at bay. Now, I'm sure there's more I could talk about in regards to Path of Exile, but I've said everything that I've needed to say. This is a great example of a live service done right, alongside the likes of Warframe and Destiny 2's relaunch. It's a fun game, but of course now with the sequel campaign, mobile version, and gem system rework all around the corner, now is the best time to see firsthand why the community around this game rants and raves about it so much. Alright, thanks for checking out this review. I hope you guys enjoy it. It was nice to finally get this out there, and if you really liked it, then prove that you're a really special person and hit both the like and the subscribe button. Now for the next game review, I actually haven't decided yet. I'm still trying to figure out if I should check out Nazi Zombies 4 or maybe check out something from my backlog, like The Surge 2, Sniper Ghost Warrior for instance. But as for movie reviews, I've got two currently in the pipeline. One for the short film, AM 1200, and the new Jumanji, The Next Level. I've got all that and more coming up, so please stick around.